we're gonna get to a little, I guess, a little touchy subject. Everybody knows you. I mean, knows your dad, stuff like that. What happened to your dad? How do you find out about that? And what do you maybe understand why?
Well, looking back now, kind of, but I was at the Super Bowl at Palo Alto, California. The Miami Dolphins were playing the San Francisco 49ers. John Ayers, who had grew up in Amarillo, was good friends with Terry. I'd been to parties with Terry South with John and everything, and I knew guys that were playing on the Miami Dolphins. So they paged me in the Super Bowl during the pregame festivities and music and all that kind of stuff going on. They paid Mike Graham, please come to the box office. I asked my wife, I said, did they just say Mike Graham come to the box office? They don't do that. I mean, they don't page people during the Super Bowl ceremony. That ain't done. She said, yeah, I think they said Mike Graham, go to the thing. And I asked another friend, did you hear that? Yeah. So anyway, I figure one of the guys wants to bring me down in the dressing room and say hi to the ball, because they all knew I was coming.
Okay.
And that here's John Ayers said, come down and, shake everybody's hand or whatever. We'd been to Vegas, not Vegas, but Lake Tahoe, skiing, gambling, made enough money gambling, chartered a private plane to fly us from Tahoe to Palo Alto. I mean, living life, everything was good. We were having fun. When I walked into the box office, I said, hey, my name is Mike Graham. Like, page me. And the woman goes, oh, yeah, you got to call home. Obviously the first thing, I think I had 2 children at the time. My son was 12 and my daughter was 9. I thought, oh my God, something's happened to one of the kids. Call home. My mother-in-law answered the phone. Hello. I said, hey, Lucille, it's Mike. And she just burst into tears. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? It's your dad. Dad? What's wrong with my dad? He shot himself. And he's in the hospital and he's hooked up to machines, and your mother, a family member, has to say to unplug him or keep him alive, and your mom just can't do it, and crying. And it was like all of a sudden I was in La La Land. I went, shot himself. I don't understand. And went back up in the stadium and sat down. What is it? Dad just shot himself. They went, oh my God. And I said, oh shit, nothing I can do now. It's just, no, we can't watch the game. So my friend, a very successful businessman, chartered a jet and flew us home. And I got back home the next morning and walked to the hospital, and there he sat back in the corner, his head all bandaged up and everything. Mom was crying, and the hospital full of people. Sat down with the doctors and said, what do we do? I said, will he ever walk, talk, see, get up, go to the bathroom? No, he's done. The bullet didn't come out. The bullet went in his head and rattled around and went around and just like destroyed everything. And he said not only that, but he said he shot himself twice. I said, what? I guess the first time he put the gun in his mouth, and when he pulled the trigger, he flinched, and it blew the side of his face off. His cheek and jawbone and all that kind of stuff was gone. Put the gun in his other hand and put it up the side of his head. I said, well, it was no accident. I thought, well, maybe he was cleaning the gun and it went off or something. I was grasping at anything to say, my dad really didn't commit suicide by shooting himself. I mean, he didn't do it. Well, he did. And the doctor said, he'll be a vegetable the rest of his life. He'll never get out of bed. And I said, you don't want to live that way. He didn't want to live healthy, much less in the state that he's in. So I said, will he feel any pain, if we unhook the machine? Or no, I said, there won't be any pain, there won't be nothing. I said, well, how long will he live? He said, maybe an hour and a half. So I looked at Mom and I said, Mom, you got to do it. He wouldn't want to be here like this. So we went out. I said, okay, bullet. And he lived about 5 minutes.
Take a minute.
Whew. That was only 23 years ago.
Oh, geez.
But he'd swim to my house and put my kids on a raft and swim back to his house. And sit at the street at the end of the night, wait for me to come home to make sure I got home safe. And just, it was unbelievable. My morning wake up call every morning. What are you doing today? What are you doing today? What are you buying? What are you, looking at buildings, looking at this, looking at that, what's up, what's up? So it was just totally, and then I kept saying, I said, I got to find his doctor. He had to have had something that was going to kill a cancer or something, but just 55 and depressed, and some business deals had embarrassed him. The wrestling business was changing, and there's nothing he could do about it. And just it just all consumed him at one time. And he just figured, shit on it, I'm out of here.
So that's basically the reason why, then you think?
Yeah.
Just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah. The business that he loved, Vince was doing his thing, and the talent was leaving, and he was getting older, and he couldn't wrestle anymore, and he had cut the company up our company into so many different pieces. I mean, Hiro Matsuda owned part of it, Duke Himoku owned part of it, the Briscoe brothers owned part of it, Buddy Colt owned a little piece of it, I had a piece of it, Dusty had a piece of it. He'd kind of lost control of his own business, where he had run the wrestling business of the world. I mean, Japan, America, for years and years and years and years. And had some problem at home. Just a lot of things hit him at one time.
And how did your mom take it? Was she okay afterwards? I mean, I know it's a horrible thing.
Yeah, we just both dealt with it. We just both dealt with it, and she had her business. She really focused. She had a company called Lucy's Fancy, and I mean, she just went to work every day and stayed there as long as she could, and would occasionally go to High Lie. She liked to bet on High Lie. She'd go to High Lie. Just tried to stay socially busy with her girlfriends and her business, and continue on. What else can you do?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask this question. I don't feel too comfortable asking it, but I'm going to ask it anyway, and you can answer it any way you like. Okay. Billy Jack Haynes, in a shoot interview that he did, said that he thinks your father killed himself because Dusty took all the talent and left for Crockett.
No,
what do you think?
A little piece.
Okay.
A little piece. Mm-hmm. Like I said, he was hitting that point of life. He had been in the wrestling business all of his life. He had done pretty well in real estate. Mm-hmm. He let a friend of his outside the wrestling business lie to him about some money that Dad gave him. He was supposed to be buying land with it, and the guy went and paid for truck tires, and the guy was in the trucking business and went and paid gas for his trucks. And I'm talking $500,000, not just $20,000 or something, but $500,000. And Dad felt, and his pride was just too much. Pride killed him. He felt embarrassed about doing that, like the guy had made him look like a fool or something. And then Dusty taking the guys, and this other guy cheating him out of some money, the wrestling business changing. He had issues with his personal life with my mom and that stuff. Just, I'm 57 now, so I realize, as we get older, and a lot of athletes go through it at a very young age. They have that separation anxiety when they can't participate in their sport anymore. But they're in their maybe 30s or early 40s where they're young, they're healthy, they got plenty of other things they can do. When Dad went through it, it's all he'd done his whole life. The wrestling business was all he knew. He had never done anything else. So when all of a sudden he sees the wrestling business changing and that going over here, and embarrassed by the guy cheating him out of the money, and personal issues at home, and just everywhere he looked, there was nothing good that he could see. Just said, I'm done.
Did you think at that time, when all this was, hell was breaking loose, did you think the territory could continue?
No, because all the partners were arguing among themselves. And without a leader, nothing can survive. Mm-hmm. When Dad was alive, what he said went. Nobody questioned it. Nobody did anything. Well, when he died, and there was 10 different people that owned a piece of the company. Then they started butting heads with, oh, no, I don't want to run Jacksonville. I don't want, no, I don't want to hire that guy. No, we can't pay that guy that much money. No. And it just started crumbling from within. And then Jimmy Crockett put the cake on the icing on the cake, when he came in and said, oh yeah, we'll combine Carolina and Florida. Well, he was trying to figure out how to pay for the damn airplanes that he had bought. So instead of using on a card with 15 guys, instead of using 12 from Florida and 2 or 3 guys off his Channel 17, he'd send the whole card and charge the office $400 a person transportation. So basically we were drawing money, but he was taking it all just to pay for his airplanes. And when we finally kept, we ran Ocala or something, then had, I don't know, $15,000, $20,000 check. Then Jimmy calls and said, yeah, send that check up to the office. I need, here's the fax, the transportation bill and all that kind of stuff. And Duke came to me and he kind of said, well, Mike, we got to, they want the money, but we got to pay our bills, whatever. I said, to hell with him. Put the money in the bank. I said, we can't go on paying his airplane costs. We've got guys that wrestle and live here. He's leaving all of our guys at home, and they're starving, flying people in, paying them huge money, and charging us for the airfare for all of them. That's done. We ain't doing it anymore. So that really was the icing on the cake. Jimmy Crockett bankrupted Championship Wrestling in Florida with mismanagement.
So there's nothing you could do about it, I guess.
No, not really, because he had already taken all the talent. If he didn't want to send Dusty, or if he didn't want to send Magnum, or he didn't want to send somebody off Channel 17, we weren't going to draw. And then when I said, no, we're not sending you more money, we're not using out of an 18-man roster, 16 of your guys. That math does not work. It isn't going to make it. And so then he does, well, then we'll sever our relationship, and you do what you want to do, and I'll do what I want to do.
So basically, it was territory's in trouble, and that was it.
Yep.
Nothing about it.
Yep.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.